Have you ever wondered what it's like to grow up in the spotlight yet remain almost invisible? Barron Trump is no ordinary teenager. He's the youngest child of a billionaire president and a former supermodel, yet his life is shrouded in mystery. Unlike other first children, Barron's story hasn't been told until now. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll learn surprising truths about America's most private presidential son. From his towering height to the untold details of his unique upbringing, there's a twist you don't see coming that just might change how you think about life in the White House. And here's a bonus: if you stay till the end, I'll share a little known fact about Barron that even his biggest critics didn't expect. It's a detail you'll want to tell your friends. Barron Trump is more than the quiet kid standing behind his parents at events. His life is a window into how modern fame, family, and privacy collide. So let's begin by answering the question everyone is asking. Who is Barron Trump behind the silence? Barron Trump was born on March 20th, 2006, in New York City, into one of the most powerful and high-profile families in America. But his childhood wasn't what you'd expect for a billionaire's son. Sure, he lived in Trump Tower, surrounded by luxury, but there's more to his story than gold-plated walls and penthouse views. Unlike his older half-siblings, who were often in the public eye alongside their father, Barron's early years were deliberately shielded by his mother, Melania Trump. Her goal: to give him a normal childhood, or as normal as possible when your last name is Trump. And here's something most people don't know: Barron didn't just grow up in English. Thanks to Melania's Slovenian roots, he became fluent in her native language at a young age. It's said he even used Slovenian to communicate privately with his mother when they didn't want others to understand, a rare skill for a first kid. Barron also had another childhood distinction. While many kids grow up playing with toy cars or Legos, Barron was obsessed with something on a much grander scale: planes. His parents have shared how he loved aviation, often drawing detailed sketches of planes and even dreaming of designing them someday. What's even more intriguing is how different Barron's early upbringing was compared to his siblings. His half-brothers, Donald Jr. and Eric, were groomed for business from a young age, following their father's footsteps. Ivanka, too, was raised in the limelight. But Barron, he was given space to develop his own personality, away from the media frenzy. Now, this is where it gets interesting. As Barron grew older, Melania took a more active role in shaping his life. She insisted on a structured routine, balancing privilege with discipline. Friends of the family have described her parenting style as firm yet protective, a key factor in why Barron has stayed grounded despite his family's fame. Stay with me, because in the next section, we'll talk about what it was like for Barron to make the biggest move of his life, leaving New York to live in the White House. And here's a teaser: his transition was far from smooth. And there's a story there you won't want to miss. When Barron Trump walked into the White House for the first time, he was stepping into one of the most scrutinized homes in the world. But for an 11-year-old boy, this wasn't a moment of triumph. It was a complete upheaval of everything he'd known. Imagine moving from a private penthouse in New York City to a residence where even your bedroom is part of American history. At first, Barron didn't join his parents right away. While Donald Trump and Melania moved into the White House in January 2017, Barron and Melania stayed behind in New York. Why? Melania wanted Barron to finish his school year uninterrupted. It's a small but telling detail about how fiercely she protects his sense of normalcy. When he finally joined them, it was a quiet arrival. No grand press events, no public fanfare, just a simple move. But life in the White House wasn't simple for Barron. He became the first child in decades to live in the White House without any siblings. That meant fewer playmates and a more isolated environment, surrounded mostly by adults. His school, St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Maryland, provided some normalcy. It wasn't a school chosen for prestige; it was selected for its emphasis on privacy and nurturing each student individually. Still, life in the White House came with constant challenges. Barron had to attend events, whether he liked it or not, standing tall literally beside his parents. At these appearances, you might have noticed something unique about him. He rarely smiled, rarely spoke, and stayed completely composed. People called him stoic, but was it stoicism or just a kid trying to handle an overwhelming situation? One particularly memorable moment was during the 2017 Easter egg roll. Cameras caught Barron quietly entertaining younger kids, helping them navigate the event. It was a rare glimpse of his personality: kind, patient, and willing to step into the background rather than steal the spotlight. But the pressure of living at the White House didn't stop there. As the youngest presidential child in recent history, Barron faced intense scrutiny from both the media and the public. Every appearance, every gesture, even his towering height became a topic of discussion. And yet, through it all, he maintained a level of privacy that no other first child in modern times has achieved. What made him so good at staying out of the public eye? That's where his upbringing and his mother's protective influence played a crucial role. And it's something that shaped him into the person he is today. In the next section, we'll unravel the mystery behind Barron's rare appearances and how they shaped his public image. And I'll reveal the moment when he surprised everyone with his confidence in front of the cameras, proving he's more than just a quiet teenager. Stay tuned, you'll want to hear this. When it comes to Barron Trump, the phrase silent observer often comes to mind. But don't mistake his quiet demeanor for indifference. Behind the reserved expression and composed body language is a young man who has learned to navigate a world where every glance and gesture is analyzed. And yet, he's managed to do something remarkable, maintain control over his public image without saying a word. Unlike most presidential children, Barron hasn't sought attention, and he rarely makes headlines on purpose. His appearances are few and far between, often limited to official events like inauguration ceremonies or holiday celebrations. When he does show up, it's clear he's not interested in stealing the spotlight. Instead, he blends into the background, letting his parents take center stage. But it's precisely this absence from the public eye that has fueled curiosity. People can't help but wonder, who is Barron, really? His rare appearances leave just enough breadcrumbs to spark endless speculation. For example, during a public event in 2020, Barron was seen confidently towering over his father, an unusual sight that set social media ablaze. People began joking that he might even be the tallest first son in U.S. history. And then there's his reserved yet poised manner in front of the cameras. While other first children like Sasha and Melania Obama, or even Chelsea Clinton, had more casual, relatable interactions with the public, Barron seems to follow a stricter playbook. Observers have noted his near-perfect posture and calm expressions, which some interpret as a mix of discipline and natural shyness. But here's the twist: Barron isn't emotionless. In a few fleeting moments, like when he waved gently to the crowd at his father's presidential farewell ceremony, or when he interacted with his mother during smaller events, you could catch glimpses of warmth. These moments show he's not disconnected, he's just incredibly measured. The public's fascination with Barron often blurs the lines between admiration and intrusion. Some view his quiet demeanor as mysterious and dignified. Others criticize the media for analyzing a child's every move. But one thing is clear: Barron has mastered the art of maintaining privacy, even in one of the most public roles in the world. In the next section, we'll uncover what Barron does behind the scenes when the cameras aren't rolling. His hobbies, interests, and the one thing he's passionate about that might surprise you. Plus, we'll share a detail about his athletic side that has the internet buzzing. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Shall we keep going? When the cameras are off and the public isn't watching, Barron Trump steps out of the shadow of his family's fame and into his own world. So, what does America's youngest former first son do when no one's looking? The answers might surprise you. Let's start with one of the most talked about aspects of Barron's life: his towering height. At over 6'7", he's taller than his father, his siblings, and nearly everyone around him. But Barron's height isn't just a trivia fact, it hints at his love for sports, particularly soccer. While his peers in the White House might have been taking up hobbies like music or art, Barron was busy sharpening his athletic skills on the soccer field. During his time at St. Andrew's Episcopal School, Barron was reportedly a key player on his school's soccer team. Coaches and teammates have described him as focused, competitive, and a natural leader on the field. His passion for the sport didn't fade after leaving Washington. Even now, Barron is rumored to continue honing his skills, with some wondering if he might pursue a future in professional sports. But soccer isn't the only thing that grabs Barron's attention. Those close to the family have hinted at his interest in technology. He's often described as tech-savvy and fascinated by gadgets, coding, and engineering. It's said that Barron enjoys tinkering with devices and learning how they work, proof that his interests go beyond what people might expect from a former first child. What's also fascinating is Barron's personality behind the scenes. Friends of the family have shared that he's a curious and independent thinker. He's not the type to rely on his famous name. Instead, he values working quietly and mastering his own skills. But here's the kicker: while his athletic ability and tech skills are impressive, Barron has one more interest that sets him apart from his peers. He's reportedly fascinated by aviation, often sketching planes and imagining designs that could revolutionize the industry. It's a hobby that combines his love for technology with his creative side, a rare mix that hints at a unique future ahead. In the next section, we'll see how Barron's experiences compare to those of other first children, and why his journey has been so different. Plus, we'll reveal a surprising insight into the family's approach to protecting his privacy, even when the media wouldn't back off. Don't go anywhere. What comes next will change how you see Barron's life in the spotlight. Ready to continue? Barron Trump's life as a first child was unlike anything we've seen before. While he shared the title with some of the most famous children in history, Sasha and Malia Obama, Chelsea Clinton, and John F. Kennedy Jr., his experience stood out for one major reason: the near ironclad privacy surrounding him. Let's start with Sasha and Malia Obama. During Barack Obama's presidency, they were frequently seen attending official events, traveling with their parents, and even being interviewed in the media. They grew up in an era of social media, and the public got to see a lot of their personalities as they matured. Barron, on the other hand, was rarely in the public eye. The contrast couldn't be more striking. Or consider Chelsea Clinton. Growing up during Bill Clinton's presidency in the 1990s, Chelsea faced relentless media scrutiny. From her appearance to her relationships, everything was fair game for tabloids at the time. Her family fiercely defended her privacy, but she still endured the spotlight as a teenager. Barron, however, experienced a different kind of pressure. While the media respected his boundaries more than they did Chelsea's, social media turned him into a meme and a trending topic, something no first child before him had to face. Then there's John F. Kennedy Jr., often considered the most iconic first son. Growing up in the Camelot era, his childhood was a blend of charm and tragedy. JFK Jr. was front and center in the media, whether saluting his father's casket or being celebrated as the heir to a political dynasty. Barron, in comparison, seemed to have been deliberately kept out of the media's narrative, an intentional choice by his family to avoid making him a symbol or a storyline. But why was Barron's experience so different? Much of it comes down to Melania Trump's parenting philosophy. She made it clear early on that Barron would not become a political prop. Even when his father's presidency was at its most chaotic, she managed to keep Barron out of controversies. There were strict boundaries with the press, and Melania famously refused to allow him to be drawn into political debates or public criticism. Still, the world couldn't help but notice Barron, especially as he grew older and taller. His rare public appearances became events in themselves. Yet, unlike other first children, who embraced or were forced to embrace the public eye, Barron remained an enigma, and that mystery only added to the fascination surrounding him. In the next section, we'll dig into the media's role in shaping Barron's image and how his family worked to shield him from the harsh spotlight. But here's the twist: not everyone respected those boundaries, and one moment in particular pushed the line too far. Stay tuned, you'll want to hear how they handled it. Ready for the final chapter? Protecting Barron Trump's privacy has been a challenge from day one. As a child in the White House, he became a public figure by default, but his family made every effort to keep him out of the chaos of politics. His mother, Melania, was particularly vocal about this. She famously defended him against public figures and media outlets that crossed the line, making it clear that Barron was off limits. But not everyone respected those boundaries. One notable instance involved a public figure who mocked Barron's behavior during a televised event. The backlash was immediate, and even critics of the Trump administration stepped up to defend Barron. It was a reminder that regardless of politics, children in the public eye deserve protection. Fast forward to life after the White House, and Barron's privacy has been even more closely guarded. Since leaving Washington in 2021, Barron has rarely been seen in public. He's reportedly focused on school and his personal interests, far from the media frenzy that surrounded his father's presidency. One of the most talked about aspects of Barron's post-White House life is his astonishing growth spurt. At over 6'7", he's now one of the tallest members of the Trump family, and that's saying something in a family known for their stature. This has fueled endless speculation about whether he might pursue a career in sports, modeling, or something entirely unexpected. But here's what makes Barron's story so compelling. Despite being part of one of the most famous families in the world, he's managed to stay a step ahead of the media. His rare appearances, combined with his reserved demeanor, have created an air of mystery that keeps people guessing. So, what's next for Barron Trump? Will he follow in his father's footsteps, enter the business world, or carve out a completely different path? That's the question everyone's asking, and the answer might surprise us all. Before we wrap up, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you think Barron's approach to privacy is a model for other children of public figures? And what do you think his future holds? Share your predictions in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about what you think. If you found this video insightful, make sure to share it with someone who loves unraveling the untold stories behind the headlines. Who knows? Maybe they'll find Barron's story just as fascinating as you did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.